Real talk, if you've refreshed Zillow even like once this month for a home in Fort Mill, Waxhaw, or Indian Land, you probably noticed something. More price reduced tags, listings just kind of sitting there, not gone in a weekend anymore. And somewhere in the back of your mind, you're thinking, wait a minute, did it flip? Is this finally my turn to buy without getting steamrolled by 12 other offers? Well, here's why you're confused, my friend. The internet is not helping you. Half the headlines say, buyer's market is back. The other half say, homes are still going over asking in a weekend. And both are true, just not for the same house. So today I'm breaking down exactly what's happening right now, this month in Fort Mill, Waxhaw, and Indian Land with real numbers, not vibes. So by the end, you'll know exactly which price point and which neighborhood you're actually shopping in. Oh, and if you're new here, I'm Laurie. This is my husband, Josh. He handles the showing and keeps me from living on Zillow. Together, we've spent nearly the last 10 years helping families relocate into South Charlotte and the surrounding suburbs. So here's the thing nobody's telling you. Charlotte housing market, it isn't just one market. It's like 3 different markets stacked on top of each other, and they're absolutely not playing by the same rules. Every single market shift we've lived through, the same lesson repeats. The average never tells you the truth. So instead of giving you one number, I'm going to give you what I like to call the price line test. 2 lines, draw them, and you'll instantly know what kind of market you're standing in. Line 1 is $750,000. Everything under that line, still a seller's market. Multiple offers, quick sales, the whole deal. Line 2 is $1 million. Once you cross that line, you're already in a buyer's market. More selection, more price cuts, room to negotiate. Everything in between those 2 lines, that's the tug of war zone. It could go either way, depending on the house and the week, frankly. Zoomed all the way out, Charlotte just wrapped up 9 straight quarters of rising prices. The median sales price is sitting at its highest point ever. But, and here's the part that matters, inventory is piling up way faster than really almost anywhere else in the country. Year to date, sales are down. Homes are sitting roughly 3 weeks longer than they were a year ago, and sellers are getting a little less of their asking price than they used to. Now, none of that means crash. It means plateau. Buyers didn't disappear because of rates. They're honestly just kind of sitting on their hands because the price in the house don't match up in their head yet. And that is a completely different problem. And it's actually good news for you because it means the leverage is shifting towards patience and preparation, not panic. Honestly, this reminds me of a client Josh and I worked with a couple years ago back who kept waiting for a crash. And it was while home values in the 700,000s just kept quietly climbing. Meanwhile, we've got clients right now shopping in the $1 million plus range in South Charlotte who are getting sellers to cover closing costs and drop price, something that would have been absolutely unheard of in 2021 and 22. It's the same metro, the same month, 2 completely different experiences. That's the whole point of this video. And here's where most buyers make a mistake that costs them real money. They hear buyer's market on the news and assume it applies to their exact price point. In a second, I'll show you what that price line test actually looks like in Fort Mill and Indian Land specifically, because the numbers there are honestly a little surprising. Real quick though, if you're sitting there trying to figure out where your specific situation lands on this, that's exactly what Josh and I do, like every single day, all day. So grab a free consultation with us using the link right below this video. We'll pull the actual numbers for your price point in your neighborhood. No pressure, no obligation. Okay, back to it. Let's zoom into Fort Mill and Indian Land specifically, straight from the actual Canopy MLS local market update for June 2026. The real report, town by town, not a county-wide average and not somebody's blog post about it. Fort Mill is sitting at 3.8 months of supply in June. That's up from 3.3 a year ago and about a 15% jump. 6 months is the textbook line between a seller's market and a buyer's market. So no, Fort Mill hasn't crossed it. On paper, this is still a seller's market. But look at what's actually moving. Days on market until sale is up 48 so far this year, up from 43 last year. And if you count homes that got relisted, the cumulative days on market jumped nearly 39% year over year. Sellers are still getting almost 97% of their original asking price, so pricing it right still works, but buyers just aren't racing the clock like they were 2 years ago. And the median sale price so far this year is down about 6.5% from last year, so $500,000 versus $535,000. Indian Land, using Lancaster County's numbers, since that's what Indian Land falls under, is telling an even bigger version of that story. Months of supply sits at 4.0, up from 3.8, still under that 6-month balance line, but climbing. Days on market until sale is up to 69 so far, compared to 51 last year. That's a 35% jump. The biggest shift of any of our three areas, really. Median sale price is down about 3.3% year to date, and that's sitting at $434,900. So, no, neither market is technically flipped to a buyer's market on paper, but the leverage is quietly moving towards buyers in both places, and it's moving fastest in Indian Land. We had a family relocating from out of state into Indian Land recently who assumed they'd have to go in over asking just to have a shot because that's what they heard about Charlotte in general. Instead, because homes are sitting almost 3 weeks longer than they were last year in Indian Land, they negotiated a price reduction and got some closing costs covered. They were shocked. That's knowing the actual numbers for your specific area before you write the offer. Now, before you assume longer days on market means the same thing everywhere, hold that thought, because Waxhaw is playing a slightly different set of rules, especially if you're looking for more land or a bigger family home. Waxhaw is right in the middle of the other two. Months of supply in Waxhaw is at an even 4 months, up from 3.6 months, about an 11% increase. Days on market until sale is up to 55 so far compared to 51 last year, and the median sale price is essentially flat, down just 1.4% year to date, sitting at $715,000. So Waxhaw hasn't softened as much as Indian Land, but it's not standing still either. Inventory is up 17% year over year, and sellers are receiving about a point less of their original list price than they were last year. Still strong numbers, just with noticeably more breathing room for buyers than there was 2 years ago. And this is really the moment I want you to sit in for a second. Let's just breathe it in, breathe through it. Picture this. You're not refreshing Zillow at 11 p.m. anymore, stomach in knots, watching a house you love go pending in 2 days. You're actually touring it. You're asking for the survey. You're negotiating on the AC unit that's 12 years old. You're closing on your terms, not because you won a bidding war, but because you were prepared and you knew the numbers going in. It's a lot more realistic right now in Fort Mill, Waxhaw, and Indian Land than it was 2 years ago. It's not a guarantee, but realistic. So here's the honest answer to, is Charlotte finally a buyer's market? No, not officially, not on paper, not in most of South Charlotte. All three of these suburbs are still technically sellers' markets by the numbers, sitting somewhere between 3.8 and 4 months supply. But the days of racing the clock and waiving every contingency just to compete, those are fading fast. Homes are sitting weeks longer across the board. Sellers are getting a little more flexible on price. And once you cross $1 million, the leverage is already flipped outright. The only real question is whether you're prepared enough to use that leverage when it's your turn, or whether you're going to be the person still bracing for a bidding war that isn't really there anymore. All right, I want to know, are you team still saving and watching? Or are you team actively looking right now? Or are you team already sold, just here for the drama? Drop it in the comments. I read every single one. If you're serious about figuring out exactly where you land on all this, whether that's Fort Mill, Waxhaw, or Indian Land, or anywhere else in South Charlotte, grab a free consultation with me and Josh using the link right below. We'll run your actual numbers, not just the averages. And if you're relocating from out of state, go ahead and download our free relocation guide too. There's links right there with it. Either way, don't sit on the sidelines guessing. Go check out my next video to see exactly what buyers are negotiating for in this market right now. I'll see you over there.